everybody. This is me, Mariah, and I hope you watch this video. Bye.
As we grow older, childhood memories seem to fade away. Buildings that used to help cement those memories are long gone, replaced with new buildings and vacant lots. Neighborhoods have been modernized, pillars of our community have passed away, and people, as well as seasons, have changed. One thing that has not changed throughout the years is the presence of the Candy Lady. Who is the Candy Lady? For those of you who don't know, well, I went to the internet to find out how to properly describe this amazing, inspirational woman. But what I found was a horror story and a definition that didn't pretty much relate to who the Candy Lady is in our community. The first story I found was of a wife who poisoned her husband using caramel. And the second was the Candy Lady being a term used for the girlfriend of a drug lord. The narrative has changed somewhere along the way about the Candy Lady, and I think it's time for us to change it back. The Candy Lady is a caring and well-respected woman that you can find in every neighborhood worldwide. She provided you with potato chips, sodas, candies, chocolate, popcorn, pickles, you name it. She also provided you with the love, discipline, and support that you needed. As an intercessor, she never hesitated to pray for and with you. She ushered in church with your grandma. She had a big heart, and she knew just about everyone in town. In church, you could find her giving candies to the children to keep them quiet and attentive during church services, teaching Sunday school, directing the choir. You can find her everywhere because she was dedicated to her church, her God, her community, her faith.
So when speaking about the Candy Lady, it must be understood that she was not the fictitious witch that was trying to kill Hansel and Gretel, but the Candy Lady was that iconic figure, that church mother or that person in the community who serviced the community. She serviced the church as well as the community. So whether it was helping to keep irritated babies quiet or keeping energetic kids calm or even helping to pacify frustrated adults, she found a way to service those who she loved and those who she cared for. In a real sense, she could be termed as a Proverb 31 woman, someone who does whatever it is needed to go and service that whom she considers family. Proverb 31, you'll read that woman that is described in that particular chapter. She is every woman. She is all things to all persons. She's able to facilitate, to accommodate. She's able to go and nurture. She's able to make sure that everyone around her has been serviced to the best of her capability. Okay? And so there were persons like that in my community, in my church. There were a couple of persons that come to mind. A Rosie Miller, persons knew her as Miss Starks back in the day. She was the Candy Lady. Everyone knew her. She recently passed. Everyone knew her as the Candy Lady. Everyone knew her as the figure to go to. They knew her not just for her candy though, but they knew her for her love, her compassion, the way that she dealt with persons, the way that she made you feel better in her presence. That is the nature of this figure known as a Candy Lady. See, persons may think it's all about the candy, but even more so, it's about something that's even sweeter than the candy that they possess. It's their spirit. It's that which they give to persons who may need an encouraging word, who may need someone to speak with, a shoulder to cry on. So I spoke about Rosie Miller. And then there's also another figure that was at my church known as Marion Wright Cabot. She was our candy lady at the church. She sold all type of different things, candy in between Sunday school and the actual morning worship. And so the kids adored her and looked forward to coming to where she was after sessions, okay? This is what whenever I think of a candy lady, whenever I think of persons who are now pillars of our communities and now their ancestors, this is what comes to my mind. They are the persons who were historically successful in not only giving candy to children, but they were successful in causing those children to slow down long enough to hear their stories, to hear the stories of who we are and how we came to be. They heard the stories and they were taught how we have survived and that which we have overcome so that we can understand who we are even right now. They are not only the candy persons, they're not just distributors of candy, but they are the griots, the persons who they house the stories of our succession. They house the stories of how we made it over. And hopefully that person will not die in our community. Yes, the persons, the figures, they may go off, they may transition to another life, beyond this life. But hopefully their essence, hopefully their impact and their importance will be picked up by a younger society. Hopefully the younger society can put down social media long enough to still sit at the feet of the elders, to hear the various testimonies of how we made it over, so that they can go and take in some of the wisdom from the elders that are slowly but surely passing off the scene.
While I cannot tell you exactly when the Candy Lady originated, I can only imagine that it was during the times when the village was actually allowed to raise the children in it. The Candy Lady served as a friend, a counselor, a math teacher, a disciplinarian, and a spiritual advisor. One thing about her is that she was never afraid to snatch you up when you got out of line. And then she'd tell your parents, and they snatch you up again.
The Candy Lady is not just a part of the African American community in the United States. She is also represented in the Afro-Latino community in Puerto Rico. Personally, I can testify that her presence was a part of the Santa Juanita area of Bayamón, Puerto Rico, from at least the 1950s to the early 80s. My parents would reminisce of running down to the corner with a dime or a couple of pennies and coming home well satisfied. On the island, there's no worry of winter, so the Candy Lady's shop was either on her front porch, her back porch, or in her carport. As mentioned earlier today, there was a sense of family community that is mostly missing today. My elders often talked about the concept of the entire block looking out for each other. It was almost a certainty that if you were travieso at the Candy Ladies, that you would not only be disciplined by her, but by the neighbor 2 doors down, and your mama would definitely know about it by the time you got home. It was such a blessing to know that you didn't have to go far to get a treat. You didn't have gas money, you didn't need to find a friend to come along with you, you didn't have to have grown-up supervision, you almost didn't need parent permission. You knew you could receive a blessing, not just a sweet blessing, but a blessing of conversation, of comfort, and of cariño. Sometimes it was the only place you could go that you knew you would not be turned down or turned away. The presence of the love of God could always be felt through the Candy Lady. As we have heard many times before in many places, to God, what the world sees as big, God sees as small. and vice versa. The candy lady, with her small treats, small profits, and small talk, was a priceless blessing to her community. La señora de los dulces o caramelos no es solo parte de la comunidad africana América de los Estados Unidos, ella también está representada en la comunidad afro-latina en Puerto Rico. Personalmente, puedo testificar que su presencia era parte de la urbanización de Santo Anita en Bayamón, Puerto Rico, por lo menos de los años 50 a los primeros de las 80. Mis padres recuerdan correr a la tiendita de la esquina con un dime o unos cuantos centavitos, chavitos, y regresar satisfecho con la compra. En la isla no existe la preocupación del invierno, así es que la tienda estaba en el balcón del frente, el de atrás o donde se estacionaba su auto. Como fue mencionado anteriormente, existía un sentido de comunidad familiar que se echa de menos estos días. Mis familiares mayores, our elders, con frecuencia comentan sobre el concepto del bloque certezar si eras travieso pasando por la tienda de la señora de dulces. No solo recibieras reprimenda de ella, pero también de las otras vecinas, y definitivamente tu mamá se enteraba antes de llegar a la casa. Era una bendición no tener que ir lejos para un dulce. No se necesitaba dinero para gasolina y tenías que buscar un amigo que te acompañara. No necesitabas supervisación adulta, casi no necesitabas permiso de tus padres. Sabías que recibieras no solo una bendición dulce, pero una bendición de conversación, una bendición de ternura, una bendición de cariño y seguridad. Muchas veces era el único lugar que sabías que podrías ser atendido sin que te rechazaran. La presencia del amor de Dios podía siempre sentirse a través de la señora de los dulces. Como hemos oído muchas veces, en muchas ocasiones, para Dios, lo que es chiquito es grande al mundo y viceversa. La señora de los dulces, con sus pequeños treats, pocas ganancias y conversación común, era una bendición sin valor posible para su comunidad.
Disrespect was not something that was tolerated. Adults had to be addressed by Mr., Mrs., aunt, uncle, or cousin.
We take the candy lady, for granted. We always used to, feel like, we could just get candy from her. But what we realized, that's the first place we went, either on the weekends, after school, before school. And she used to check our homework when she had, time. We had one across the street from our school. We went to Holy Angels of Shorty. That's on 40th and Cottage. Yeah, the candy lady, man, she used to come up to the school, check on the kids, like, that was real love, though. They showed real, genuine love, bro.
Family was everything, and family reunions and Sunday dinners were mandatory. If you missed one, it was a problem. As long as you were alive and well, there was never an excuse not to show up. Knowing who you were related to was just as essential as learning your lessons at school. She wouldn't stand for family discord and relatives not speaking to one another. Disagreements within the family weren't allowed to last 20 years. She wasn't having that. Though she might not have always told you what you wanted to hear, she told you what you needed to hear to help you grow as a person. She understood that the truth might hurt, but knowledge of the truth might help you to heal. She always kept it 100 with you. The Candy Lady had a lot of us wanting to be entrepreneurs. We raked leaves, shoveled snow, sold lemonade, even opened our own candy stores. The icy store I opened with my cousin in the 90s, we had a little success. Here's that story.
I remember when we decided to get into the business. The woman was selling the candy, and we was buying the ices. And I was like, shoot, we can make that money buying ices ourselves. We many ices we be eating, we might as well be making it ourselves. So I invest my daughter. I thought I'd invest her in the game, the store business, and introduce her to the store business. And I was going to, invest my money in there, sugar and Kool-Aid. And the business got to going pretty good. It's got to going pretty good. But I never got paid. Everybody got, I mean, we got icy. We had plenty of icy, but I never got paid. I'm icy on that one.
One of the best parts of having a candy lady in our neighborhood growing up was going to school the next day and stunting on our classmates that didn't have one in theirs. That made us feel rich. Even though we might not have had a lot of money, candy was our currency. Some kids resold their candy, might have made a little bit more money, but those type of things made us feel rich. We felt like entrepreneurs. We felt like we won.
Yeah, in our neighborhood, we had so many candy ladies that we used to buy candy sometimes just to go to school, stun on them. Mama, don't be mad at me. I remember times I used to go to the store before school, steal candy, and take it to the school just to sell it. So it taught you the hustle mentality. Like I said, even taught you the math with the candy lady. She, telling you certain things at this price, so add it up. Like, she wouldn't cheat you. She was like, well, you counted wrong at times. So yeah, the candy lady was a very, very important, person in our community growing up.
Our community was our safe haven, and we were comfortable until the police came in and began to shut down home-based candy stores on the northeast side of Carbondale. This caused a shift in the community. A lot of parents on the northeast side were single mothers and could barely pay for us to get the candy from the candy lady. So walking the distance to the store safely and paying 3 times the price for the candy that we would normally get in the neighborhood, it shifted us. A lot of parents couldn't afford that, and a lot of parents wouldn't risk their children walking alone. In the 80s, we had an epidemic of missing, lost, and exploited children. We got to see those children every day when we went to fix our cereal. Those children were on the backs of the milk cartons. Though we never saw many kids that looked like us, we were very aware that this was something that could happen. We were terrified. A lot of Black and brown children were being classified as runaways, not lost, missing, and exploited. And it always terrified me to know that if I came up missing, that it was a possibility no one would look for me because they would think that I ran away from a bad situation. It was terrifying. Side note, R&B group The OJs addressed the missing children epidemic in 1987 on their song Still Missing, if you'd like to check it out on YouTube. Romans 12:10 says, "Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves." With the understanding that flowers are to be given while a person can still smell them, I wanted to honor an amazing person, individual, and mother. Candice Wilson, affectionately known as Candy, has served as one of the longtime candy ladies in our community known as the Northeast Side of Carbondale. She sold candy, but she offered so much more. Love, patience, understanding, and support are just a few of those things. Though the candy store is no longer active, Candice continues to be a pillar in our community. With an open heart and an open door policy, we still continue to depend on Candice for an occasional piece of candy, conversation, and lots of wisdom. I had the honor of speaking with Candice about her experiences. Let's check that out now.
I'm Candice Wilson.
All right. And you ran a candy store.
Yes, I did.
All right. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Okay, well, I had this candy store back in I'm going to say the 90s. Might have been 80s, but I'm going to say 90s. And I had kids from all in the neighborhood that came to the candy store. Yeah, I didn't expect a lot from all the kids because I knew most kids wasn't working, and I knew parents didn't like giving kids money to come to the candy store. But some kind of way the candy store lasted for, I would say if I had to guess, over 10 years.
Oh, wow. What was your favorite thing about running the candy store?
Mostly the kids, because they would come by. You'd find some kid that was maybe 6 or 7 that couldn't count. And one little girl brought over 100 pennies. And she wanted to buy something. She said, "How much can I get for this?" So, not being rude, I told her, "We're getting ready to count." So, we counted 25 pennies. And she bought a bag of potato chips. She said, "Do I get some change back?" I said, "You get a lot of change back." She said, "What else can I buy?" So I asked her what else did she want. She said, "Some fruities." She said, "How many can I get with all these pennies?" And I said, "Okay, let's count them." So before it was over with, she got over 100 fruities.
Oh, wow.
And she said, "I got some more pennies." And I said, "Okay, you better ask your mother if you could have some more candy, because she might not let you have all that." She said, she will. I said, "Go ask her." She said, "Okay." Being around those kids, it was rewarding. I enjoyed myself being around the kids. And there was some kids that would come over that didn't have any money. And I would give them something anyhow, because their little friends would have money and they wouldn't. So one little boy came over. He didn't have any money, but all the rest of his friends did. So I told him, "Pick out what you want." He picked out what he wanted. I said, "Now next time you come over, you got to buy some." He said, "Okay." Next time he came over with another little boy that didn't have anything. So I said, "How much money do you have?" He said, "I only got $1. I said, "Buy your friend something." He said, "You're not going to give me anything free?" I said, "Well, if you give him something, that'll be free."
That's right.
And so he bought his friend something. And like I said, the kids kept me laughing.
How did you keep up with the latest candy as far as what you wanted to sell in your store?
Because I would notice what the kids mostly bought. And they was really crazy about fruities. But the grown-ups was crazy about the pickles.
Oh, yes.
So I buy a lot of fruities for the kids, and I buy pickles for the grown-ups. I had hot pickles and mild pickles.
That's awesome. So, how does it feel to be a pillar of the community? Because the Candy Lady often gives advice, provides shelter to those who need shelter, and is just an all around good person in her community. How does it feel?
Well, it's kind of sad because to see the kids grow up, and when they come to me, it's grown. I said, "You don't have a candy store anymore?" I said, "No, but I still remember you, and I always have something to give them." The last person that came on my house, I gave them a fruity, and they was grown. And this guy said, "You got any more fruity?" I said, "No, I just saved a couple of them for the people I know."
Yeah.
But to be able to help kids and to keep kids out of trouble, and if they need to talk to me, I was always available to do that.
And as children, we remember, we grew up and we remember those people who were around people that we felt comfortable talking to, and that keeps people, coming around, establishes, long relationships and really good bonds. I bet that's awesome.
It is, because it was one little boy came up to me, he's a grown man. He said, "What is your real name?" I said, "Candice." He said, "So your name really was Candy?" I said, "For short, yes, it's Candy." And he said, "Do you mind if I give you a hug?" So no, let's go ahead. No problem.
That is awesome. So, what are your thoughts on a candy store now? Do you think that is something that is of the past, or do you think that is something that could be done now?
It could be done, but it pays to know your neighborhood.
Right.
Because back then, everybody would look after everybody's kids, and you wouldn't find out grown-ups cursing out somebody's kids, or if a child got into it, the whole family jumped into it. Now, you can kind of expect anything.
Right. I agree.
But if somebody wants to open up a candy store, know your surroundings. That's all I got to say.
I agree. What were some of the most popular days and times that that kids would come? I know weekends. I know I was definitely a weekend and after school kid. I couldn't wait to beat all my friends to the Candy Lady. I'm on the first dibs on what was there.
The weekends, like you said, and after school. But when Halloween struck, that's when I had to close, because I knew the kids had their own candy. I knew Halloween I had to give out candy also, which I didn't mind.
Yeah.
But one thing I did like one time, it was in October, a construction crew was working on my street on Fisher. And this construction person asked this little boy, "Where did you get the soda from?" He said, "Inside the candy store lady house." Well, he came in the house, he knocked on my door, came inside, and he spent over $50.
That's amazing.
I couldn't believe it.
That's amazing. See,
So October paid off for me that month.
Right. It was very important for us to have people like you in our communities, because, you provided a safe house, and we're really grateful for it. And I just wanted to give you your flowers while you can still receive them. So I am very appreciative of you giving me this interview.
Well, thank you so much. And without kids, it wouldn't be a candy store.
That's right. Well, without Candy, without you, Candy, we wouldn't have a candy store.
All right then.
All righty. Well, it was good talking to you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you. Who were the Candy Ladies and men during your childhood?
Mr. Fletcher, Mr. Ivory, Miss Vantry. Oh, so many of them in the neighborhood. But my most favorite would have been Mr. Fletcher's. We lived in the neighborhood, and he had a little candy store that we would either visit before school or after school. And we would buy, well, my favorite candy would have been the slapsticks, taffy, especially the banana, and the lemon heads, along with the Chico sticks. Back then we had the candy cigarettes, the cigar gum, Boston baked beans, peanut butter logs, milk duds, the candy necklaces. It was such a variety of candy back then, and it was really, really what we called awesome. It was the best candy in the world you can go buy. Even the Jolly Rancher sticks was a favorite of all of ours. And I can always remember my mother said, do not come back with watermelon, because to her it was a horrible smell. So we would have to hide our watermelon bubble gum, or at least rinse our mouth, so that no one could smell the smell. But to us, it was the best.
What feelings do you get when you think about the Candy Lady and Gentleman in your childhood, during your childhood? What feelings of nostalgia do you get?
Oh, growing up back then, everyone knew everyone. So a lot of us would relate to some of them as aunts or uncles, because back then you couldn't get away with anything. Everyone was your parent in the neighborhood. So we grew up with much respect for those who gave us, or was able to be a part of that back then. Another candy would have been, oh my gosh, the Zero bars, Charleston Chews, which is one of my favorites. As you can see, I'm like a chewy soft candy. I don't like hard candy. And we weren't allowed to eat such things as jawbreakers, which were considered choking hazards. But it was such a variety, and it seemed back then the candy was just so good. Now it's a change, even though some of them they still carry, but nothing like the good old days, back when we thought the candies then were the best in the world.
So have you thought about opening a candy store?
We'll revisit that maybe when I retire in several years or so. I have so many grandkids. I think that would be something to experience with them.
Do you think that you'll do it with them so they can continue the legacy?
I hope so. I come from a family of a lot of entrepreneurs in different areas. So, yes, I think we want to carry that legacy on, to give everyone a feeling of what it felt like to have your own candy store or your own icy store. It's so many different candies, like the rock candies, the pop candy that would pop in your mouth, the zit. It was a candy that sent a foam out in your mouth. It was kind of creepy at first, but those were some of the best times. But could be scary nowadays, or fun.
I agree. Well, any last words?
hey, if you could make those memories count for someone else, then go for it.
Hey, so I was asked who was my favorite candy store ladies back in my days. Well, of course, Miss Starch. You can come with 12 cents, knowing the candy bag was 25 cents. She gave it to you. You know what I'm saying? She was a blessing to us. All right. And the second one was Miss Jean Brown. Now, right across the street, that project right there, right across the street from Irma Hayes Child Care Center. Okay, homemade fries. She came with the ketchup and the hot sauce. Okay? And if you wanted that nacho cheese, she'd charge you, but you ain't got it. She gave it to you for free. She'll just pour it on there for you. So, yeah, those was the two. Miss Jean Brown and Miss Starch. Rest in heaven. Peace.
The legacy of the Candy Lady is one to be respected and admired. Her importance to Black culture is immeasurable, and her presence will always be felt. Miss Gales, who sold 25-cent bags of popcorn at Thomas School, to Mrs. Sykes, to Miss Shannon, to Miss Starks, to Mrs. Scott, and to Candy, who left sweet tastes in our mouths and sweet legacies in our lives. We appreciate you.
Thanks for watching the Candy Lady. Hi everybody, I'm Mariah. And I'm Taia.
Open your mouth. Put your head back. Open your mouth.
I don't know which one to pick. I made my move. Pick it like this one. I got gum. Should I eat it?
Try it. Talia.
Ew, so soda. Wow, what's this? Mmm. Soda. No. Ew. Ew. That's good for your pillow.
Thank you for watching the Candy Lady. That's it. So say it right now.
I actually want to make my own video.
Oh. Well, okay, but I need you to
that,
say
though.
this for my video though.
Hi everybody. So today I gonna this. Can you turn the video please? Cause I'm about to make a new TikTok.
Well, they can't see the TikTok in the video. So don't worry. I mean, they can't see the video. So you good.
Okay. I'm about to make another video. Hi everybody. This is Momo Candy. And they had to make a big video. about herself. So Mama, come in.